All right. Hello, everybody, and welcome on into our session today. My name is Nico. I am from Scribes community here today, and I have with us an extra special guest, Erica, to talk all about exporting, sharing, and embedding your scribes in how you can actually make SOPs work for you. So to kick us off, I would love to know a little bit more about you, Erica. So if you can introduce us to yourself to the audience and let us know who you are, what you do, and what the first problem you solved with Scribe was. I'd love to learn a little bit more about you.
Yeah. So, like Nico said, my name is Erica. I'm the founder of the 128 Collective. We are a marketing operations and strategy firm. The 128 stands for the 128 hours outside of the 40-hour work week. So, we are all about the path of least resistance when it comes to this crowded world of marketing. And one of the methods that we love, so one of the first things that I solved with Scribe and using standard operating procedures or SOPs, was the issue of being able to hand off work in a seamless way, whether you are doing that for a client or for your teammates or you're bringing on new employees. That is really a pain point, especially in the world of marketing when things are constantly changing, constantly evolving. So that has really helped us accelerate the work that we do and maintain quality standards.
That's fantastic. Well, thank you very
Yeah.
much. I appreciate the little background on the name too. That is very interesting.
Yeah.
I always love to learn a little bit more about like the origin story or the
Yeah.
reason behind it too. So I appreciate you sharing that. Awesome. Well, I love that. I'm very excited to have you here too. You're a fantastic partner for Scribe. I would love to learn a little bit more too about what you think. If you had to give everybody here today one pro tip when it comes to using Scribe related to organization, what would that be?
Yes. So when it comes to organizing your scribes, both we'll walk through the back end and how to create like an intuitive hierarchy of when you're creating a scribe, you don't want to just create it and leave it. You want to make sure that it's actually being used, that it's being put somewhere that people can easily find. And we're going to get to this later, but also scribes don't have to only live in the scribe back end. They can also live in the places where work is actually being done. So my team and I, we use ClickUp, which is a project management tool if you're not familiar with it. And our scribes, we embed them directly into the tasks that we do. So it makes for a really seamless workflow. So my tip is just when you're creating an SOP in Scribe, or you're creating a document in Scribe, don't stop there. It can integrate directly into your workflow. And that's really what creates a seamless and scalable workflow for you and your team.
That's awesome. I am so happy to hear that ClickUp is a fantastic tool. Very excited
Yeah.
to know that you're able to keep the context all together with that with Scribe too. So thank you very
Sure.
much for sharing that. I would love to learn a little bit more too. So one of the main questions that I always get from talking to other users is they want to know how other people are actually organizing their workspaces and using Scribe internally, and like how are you moving things around? How are you putting your scribes and your pages
Yeah.
all in one place? I would love to learn and dive in a little bit to how you actually do that. So if you wouldn't mind, I'd love to maybe see what that looks like. We can dive
Yeah.
in.
Absolutely. I'm going to share my screen here and I'm going to not press leave the call because they're right next to each other. Let's see here. So before diving in here, something that I want to start with is when we're creating scribes and standard operating procedures, it can be a really time intensive experience if you don't use a tool like Scribe. So Scribe really expedites that process. And when you spend so much time and you're not using a tool like Scribe and nobody's using your SOPs, that is so frustrating. I can speak to that firsthand in my pre-Scribe life. And I found that there's really three primary reasons that people don't actually use these SOPs that you create for them. And that's either that they can't find them anywhere, they're out of date, or honestly, they're just not very helpful. Like maybe they're a wall of text, or there's no visuals, or they don't actually show you how to do the work. So, what Scribe has really helped me solve is creating this centralized one-stop shop for all of my SOPs, and creating an intuitive folder structure that helps people find them. So when I'm thinking and when I'm saying the word intuitive, I'm thinking I want anybody off the street to be able to come into my workspace. And this is a slice of my workspace here, just for demoing purposes. But I want anybody to be able to come in and for it to make sense. So the way that we lay everything out is I have three examples here, and we'll walk through clients and employee onboarding to start, and then we'll get to templates a little bit later today. But in my space, I have a parent folder for clients. And then underneath that, every client gets a subfolder. And within the subfolder, we have a lot of folders here, but I promise I'm going somewhere with this. We have templates. So Like I said, I'm a marketing operations firm. So for the most part, we're going to have communication SOPs, offboarding, onboarding. There's going to be project-specific processes that people need to follow, and then review and approval. I'm in the world of marketing. Half of our life is spent chasing down approvals, chasing down reviews. So these are very important and integral to almost every single project that we run. So this is kind of a pre-canned template that we duplicate for all clients. Right here it says sample client folder, but this would be the client's name, and then we can customize the processes to each client, and they live underneath the parent client folder.
Awesome.
This one, the employee onboarding folder, and hopefully this is zoomed in enough for everybody. This is one that I have found to be of probably the greatest impact for me and my team. When it comes to onboarding, it can be awkward, it can be time intensive, it can be frustrating, and having these guides put together and in one spot for people has really helped not only accelerate the onboarding process, so getting my employees to a point where they can start delivering the quality of work that we want them to be delivering faster, but also help them feel a part of the culture. So this is actually a Scribe page. I'm going to back out of this for just a second here. So I have all of these different folders within the employee onboarding parent folder. So this is like our communication and project management expectations, weekly workflows, and then my personal favorite is the first 10 tasks. We're going to go back to this page here, which contains a bunch of scribes. But essentially, this is their first 5 days, the things I need them to complete in that first week, split up into scribes. And so some of them are things I want them to review, and some of those are those first 10 tasks that I need them to complete. So they're integrated into the tools that we use. They start getting a feel for our workflows, the way that we work. They start learning the projects they're going to be a part of, etc. And because scribes are so visual, it's so easy for them just to open this and be able to complete that work independently. So it really does speed up the time to that an employee starts to feel like they're providing value and they feel like they're a part of the team. Because I think we can all agree that in the first week of onboarding a client, an employee, whether you yourself are onboarding to a new job or you are onboarding an employee below you, it can be a little bit awkward. So I found this to really smooth over that first week. It's a good morale boost. So yeah, this is how we typically organize things. And like I said in the beginning, we do embed a lot of scribes in other workspaces, but this is kind of our centralized spot. So we solve for that problem of nobody being able to find the SOPs that they want to be using. So it's either directly in the task that I need them to complete, or we have our Scribe library that has all of the different client delivery SOPs, all of the onboarding SOPs, etc. And they're never out of date because in a Scribe, let me open up one for you here. If I wanted to edit something specific, so say I change email clients and I start using Microsoft. If I'm using Microsoft, something is wrong. Get help. Hopefully we'll never break up with Gmail or Google Calendar. But I could just re-record part of this instead of scrapping the entire SOP and starting from zero. So that is very helpful and helps me keep things up to date. And they're also very visually appealing, and it's very clear what I need people to do. And so it makes them that much more enabled to follow and use all of these documents that we put together.
Awesome. That is fantastic. I can definitely agree that as expected, when I started at Scribe 2, I received many scribes on how to do work at Scribe. So I think for onboarding, it's a fantastic way, like you said, just to get everybody up to speed, for them to feel comfortable too. There were things I was doing where I was like, normally this would have required me to jump on the call with my manager and for her to literally share her screen and show it to me step by step and me following along. But I got the scribes and I was like, this is fantastic. This is perfect. So I'm happy to. Yes, I appreciate, I love the fact that you're also doing that too. And as you had mentioned, that's a fantastic segue into you talking about how you actually embed them directly inside of ClickUp. That's another great avenue in a way for people to actually use Scribe. So like in addition to keeping good workspace hygiene like you do with your folders and your subfolders and the folder hierarchy there, you are probably one of the top 1% of users based on how you're actually going through and organizing them in there. So thank you very much for sharing that. I'm sure that'll help many of our users too. So I really do appreciate that. But I'd love to walk through a few options that you can actually use in order to share Scribes outside of Scribe too, because that's of course another huge benefit and a huge part to the Scribe experience as well. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen now. I would love to share this Scribe here. So this is a Scribe I created because our Scribe Sidekick panel actually went through a bit of an update last month. You might have seen. So it's got a fresh new look and everything too. So I wanted to make a Scribe for people who use Scribe, to show like, oh, here's all the updates, here's the differences, here's what you can see. So if you are going to share Scribes externally outside of anywhere too, this is a fantastic way to do so. And Scribes are designed in order to be put really in anywhere where work works for you. Like you said, you can put them directly in ClickUp. You can embed these anywhere where an iframe is embedded. Scribes are very versatile by nature in order for people to get the most use out of those too. So when you create an actual Scribe, by default, the Scribe sharing permissions are going to be only visible to you. So like when you create a Scribe, this will be always the screen that you see for the first time. So in order to actually share this out, you have to update the viewing permissions here. And so when you're going through and doing that, this is a big part, a good reason too, to possibly look at, looking to get your whole team onboarded as well too. If you work in a very regulated industry, a lot of times people are going to need this information to stay securely within one platform. And so if that is Scribe, what you can do is adjust those sharing permissions to only be viewed by your team and by anybody else on your direct team. So that is a huge benefit to this as well too. Very, very popular among regulated industries. So folks who are actually bringing their team, whether it's a few folks or even your entire organization onto Scribe. That's a really great feature there, is you can lock it down to where only people with an account on your team can see the Scribe. But another great option is sharing it with anybody with the link can view. What this does is it essentially turns your Scribe into like what I call an unlisted YouTube video. And so it creates this big URL. So it'd be next to near impossible for somebody to like stumble across this, but anybody with this link can actually view and access this content. And so this is what I do, because most of the Scribes that I make are external facing. So think like IT help desk or anybody who was very customer facing and sharing Scribes of, oh, here's how you do XYZ within our tool, or oh, here's how you sign up or register for this event. If you're like a small business too, you can show people exactly how to do that. So with that being said, I can demonstrate what that actually looks like here too. So I'm going to go ahead and share an incognito window just to show you all. So I updated the permissions on this one. I paste the link up here, and it'll take me directly to this Scribe. And of course too, there will be a few little pop-ups of like, oh hey, this was created in only 60 seconds, just to show other people too. But anybody who's not logged in will be able to now see all of this content, which is fantastic. So moving back to the actual Scribe itself, another huge benefit to sharing these, like you had mentioned earlier, Erica, is anytime you're actually sharing a Scribe itself, with a live link or embedding it anywhere, anytime you make updates, those are pushed live anywhere where that Scribe lives. And so anybody you talk to from Scribe will always be shouting from the rooftops of use a live link or please embed this anywhere. So that way, if you do make an update to the original guide, you don't have to fuss with re-exporting it and uploading that wherever it needs to go to. So those will always stay up to date when any updates you make. But moving on, embeds are a fantastic way to actually get this content into places where you actually need it. And so this is fantastic for if you have like an intranet or if you have a help center. So for example, our support center is entirely Scribes about how to use Scribe. And so I'll go ahead and share this with you all now here too. It's honestly a fantastic way to actually do what you need to do and to get this done. And so if you ever have any questions about Scribe, please visit our support center. It covers anything from capture to editing to sharing to even the getting started guide. But if you click into any of these guides, it will be a Scribe on how to use Scribe. And so we have embedded these directly into our help center here. So anybody who actually comes through will be able to click through any of these Scribes and be able to get what they need to get done, which is fantastic. And so huge benefit. Again, anywhere where an iframe embed is actually accepted, you can put a Scribe. So it's like that Mean Girls quote, the limit does not exist in places that you can put these in. It really doesn't. You can also change how they're actually being shared too. So the default method for a Scribe when you share it is going to be the scroll. So people can actually just scroll through step by step and see that way. However, you can also share it as slides. This is a crowd favorite for sure. And this essentially will turn it into a step by step, like people have to click through the actual actual guide in order to get through it. So you'll see here, this is exactly what it'll look like with people to click next here too. So this is a great one, especially for folks who like to take it step by step and just see one thing at a time. This is a fantastic method. And a newer format that you can actually share out your scribes with is called Movie. And essentially what this does is it takes all of your scribe content and turns it into a video-like format with an AI voice that reads out all of your step text here. So when I click on Movie, it'll generate the preview here. And essentially what it does is it will take every single step. It'll move your cursor very fluidly across it. When you actually hit play
on
here.
your Scribe extension.
I don't know if you heard that because I don't know if I'm showing audio, but it
Yeah.
will. You did. Okay.
Yeah.
Perfect. So it will read out all of this information for you. As you continue, you can also do a movie as a very self-guided one too. So you can click through to figure out like which step you want to see. It'll move your cursor exactly to where your click target was on that screen. So people can follow along as well too. So if somebody likes to actually follow along with a guide, they can do this as well here too. One little pro tip too that I wanted to mention is you can change the way that you share your actual scribe if you are sharing with a link. So again, the default will always be if you share a link with somebody, it'll always go to the scrolling format because that's sort of the default for a scribe. However, if you go this little drop down here, you can select your scribe's link share format. And so you can turn it into a movie link or a slides link. And so whenever you do that, of course, anytime they actually open up the scribe, it'll be in whatever format you choose. You can always share a link to any of those other formats as well too. So I always love to tell people that because I think that's a big game changer, especially for folks who love movie, because they're like, wait, hold on, I didn't know that I could just share it as the video. And yes, you can do so. So highly, highly encourage you all to play around with that. That is fantastic. And then one of the other things too that's available on our pro plans and above is you can actually export these guides to a static format. And so I know I speak with a lot of people oftentimes who are like, oh, the way that we do documentation at our company, we have to download everything and upload it to a shared drive so that people can use that. Or, oh, we have it very locked down, so we need the static ones, or we need to provide the static guides to our auditors. That's another use for Scribe too. You can always export your actual guides to a static format. Of course, with that being said, keep in mind these options will not automatically update. So if you are looking to take advantage of that, you do have to make use of a live link or an embed. However, you can export these to PDF, to HTML, to Markdown, to Microsoft Word. The Word one is a very popular one, given that a lot of companies also will have their own style guides or things to adhere to. And so that's a really quick and easy way to actually export that and make use of that too. So in addition to that, I would also love to share a little bit more about Pages. So you were sharing a little bit more about Pages earlier, Erica, too, but I wanted to just make sure that everybody understands, that you can use Pages in a way to compile all of your guides and all of your scribes together. So you had one about a new hire onboarding guide. That is fantastic. We use Sprout Social internally, and so I created an onboarding guide for one of my teammates, and I was like, hey, here's a quick guide on like the 3 most important things that you need to do about how to get started, how to filter your messages, how to run a sentiment analysis in here too. So essentially, like you had mentioned too, you can add a bunch of different context here. You can add table of contents. You can add, there's over, I think, 1,000 different types of media that you can actually put inside of a scribe. So if you have YouTube videos, if you have Loom videos, if you have anything else, GIFs, flow charts, really anything like that too. I know people are embedding Miro flow charts within Scribe Pages as well too. So you can really use these. It's like a rich text editor that you can just do anything with. And so when it comes to actually creating a page, what you can do is the little backslash will be your best friend. Whenever you're making a page, you just type in a backslash and you can add in a scribe. You can also add in another page. So like a very meta Inception vibes, you can do a page within a page within a page. So like if you've got a new hire onboarding guide and maybe one of the sections is all about, here's how you set up your W-2 information. Of course, there probably is a lot of documents and ways that you actually need to do and where you need to go for that too. So you can break that up into multiple scribes, throw that all on a page, and then put that page inside of another page too. But you can add a scribe always at whatever time. So for example, that scribe about the sidekick panel, if we wanted to search for that, all you have to do is actually click on that and that gets embedded directly inside of your scribe here. You can also choose to embed it as slides or as a movie. So that just all depends, again, of course, on the preferred way that you want to actually share out this content. And then when you hit publish up here, this will be what people come to see. when they actually come to this Scribe guide. They'll be able to go through and actually click through everything here all in one place. By default, of course, they're stored like this to where people will open them in the side panel viewer and be able to scroll through the actual guide. But you have a lot of customization and a lot of opportunities to sort of just like update this and use this however makes the most sense for you. I love the way that you said that, Erica, earlier of, it fits into the way that you work, and Scribe really is built for that. So please, if there's a way that if you can dream it up and you can put Scribe wherever you want to, wherever you're working, there's probably a way that you can actually do it. So I appreciate that. That's sort of all that I had on the actual sharing and exporting, but I'd love to kick it back over to you, Erica, and understand sort of maybe like take a step back, even just look at SOPs in general. Like how would somebody get started making SOPs? Because of course, this is something that you and your firm excel at. So I'm curious what pro tips you have for the audience here today.
Yes. So if you are looking to get started with SOPs as soon as today, my homework for you is to think about over the next week or over the next day what your repetitive tasks are. So think about what the repetitive tasks are that you do daily or what you do weekly, because those are your candidates for SOPs or your first SOPs. So these could be things depending on what you do. For my company, it might be how to publish a blog post in different content management systems, depending on what clients are using. Is it WordPress? Is it Squarespace? How to schedule a social media post is another one on the different platforms. How to set up a project in your project management tool might be another one, or maybe it's approving invoices or sending a monthly report. That's where you want to start. I would recommend using Scribe to capture it, of course, because you can knock out the task while you record it. I love doing that. I can knock it off my to-do list for the week and also have it ready to delegate by the next week if I needed to. And I'm going to share my screen one more time here.
Please.
Not hitting the leave button. Here we go. I don't know why. I really feel like it's going to happen. Anyways, okay, so this is sharing now. So once you have your scribes, what I do is I have a template library, and these are things, like I said, that are very reusable. So we have like the social media posts. I have this split up into marketing, operations, sales. Again, this is just a little slice of our workspace. They're a little bit more built out. But what this does is this really shines a spotlight on our workflows and where we're being redundant, where we have redundancies, or where there's unnecessary complexity. Scribe is going to put a big shiny flashlight on that. So be ready to kind of set your ego aside a bit and realize that there might be a better way or an easier way to do what you're already doing. And then once you have a solid workflow, I would fully recommend creating a templates folder in Scribe so you have a library to consistently go back to. So if you're a marketing agency or maybe a social media agency and you want some type of standardized delivery process around how social media posts are sent to a client to be approved, that's a template you can make. And you can just duplicate it and edit it a little bit from client to client, but most of the legwork is done. So you've cut off so much time. You're saving yourself frustration. You're probably saving yourself money too. And it also just creates a much more professional look to your clients and to your team. So if you want to get started with SOPs today, I would start identifying what those frequently recurring tasks are, start documenting them, and then you can take the next step to start scaling those processes to make them more efficient.
Awesome. That is fantastic. Well, thank you very much for sharing all of this too. Again, this is, I think, probably the number one most requested thing that I get asked from all of our users is we just want to see how other people are actually using Scribe. So thank you very much for letting us sort of dive into your workspace and figure out how you're actually going through. And again, I think the way that you're actually using folders and pages to organize your Scribes again is you are a trailblazer when it comes to that too. So thank you very much. I hope that this will inspire a lot of people who are watching today, and a lot of people who will be watching this after the fact as well too, to go in and make their Scribes look even better. So I do have a few little rapid fire questions that I would love to ask you, just for fun at the very end. But if anybody does have any questions, please feel free to leave them in the chat. And if we don't have time to get to them today, we'll be sure to follow up with you. And of course, like myself and Erica can both follow up if there's a question directed at either one of us. So please leave those down there. But I'd love to ask you a few rapid fire questions. So if you are ready, how would you describe your organization's workflows using just 3 words?
3 words. Clear, simple, and Intuitive. I really like that word today.
Yeah, intuitive is a fantastic word. I love that. That is great. If inefficiency were a tax, what percent would your org be paying right now?
Oh my gosh. If it were to, I mean, I would love to say that we are perfectly efficient. We would be paying nothing, but it would be a chunk. It would hurt. I'll leave it at that. Yeah, it's there's always room to improve. So I'm
Of
a little bit of a perfectionist in that area. Maybe I'm being slightly pessimistic, but
Hey, that is okay. That's what I think that's the general consensus of how
yes.
everybody would see that as well too. Like you said, nobody is perfect. There's always room to improve. And I love what you said about using Scribe will sort of put a flashlight, a spotlight on all of
Yes.
these processes that could be improved. And so I love that too. So thank you for sharing that too.
Yeah.
If you had a magic wand and you could automate one thing in your life, what would that be?
See, here's the thing, because I technically don't need a magic wand to automate this, but it would be my calendar scheduling system. If I could automate that. Technically, there is an automation out there for that. I haven't found the perfect one. So if somebody has a recommendation, I'd love to hear it.
There you go. And if somebody
Yes.
has a scribe on how they do that, please share that
Yes.
as well
There we
too.
go.
It could make the world a better place, one scribe at a time. I love that. And my last question for you too is maybe a bit controversial in today's AI age, but what is one thing that AI makes harder today?
AI is tempting because it can do a lot of the work for you in marketing. So something that it makes harder is if I want to use it to simplify a document that I'm doing, or if I need it to generate content ideas for me, I can really like because it validates you so much if you're using like an LLM, like a ChatGPT or something. It will
Sure.
validate everything that I ask it. Or, is this a good idea? It will be like, yes, you are so smart. You are the best. When in reality, it's a horrible, horrible idea. So there is that second. It is great for idea generation and brainstorming, and it is great for so many things. But something that it makes harder is it validates my horrible ideas way too much. And so I need that extra layer, someone to shoot down when I get a little too far down the rabbit hole of visionary visioning. Um, yeah, I think it makes that line a little bit gray.
There you go. Hey, that's a fantastic answer. One thing I think maybe some people should take into account that don't oftentimes, like, hey, just FYI, this thing isn't it will
Yeah.
agree with you, so
Well, when it's
just
telling
be
me I'm
careful.
great, I want to listen to it.
Of course, that's human nature.
Yeah.
That's normal too. So I appreciate you sharing that. And my very last question for you is if you could describe Scribe in just one word, what would that word be for you?
Honestly, life-changing. I'm not just saying that
Okay.
either. It has really changed how I work, and I'm a small business. As I add employees, it has helped me onboard people. It's helped me appear more professional. It's helped me win clients. It has truly, completely changed how I work.
I love that. That is fantastic. Thank you. I'm like, oh
Yes,
my
that's
goodness.
maybe a little dramatic, but it's what
Hey,
pops into my head,
I
okay?
I love it. I love it. There's something about trusting your gut when it comes to things like that too. So I
Yeah.
appreciate you. I appreciate your candor for you sharing that too,
Yeah.
and just for you being here today. Because that
Yeah.
comes to the close of our session. Of course, we will make sure that we check out any questions that are left out here too. But Erica, I wanted to again thank you so much for your time today. I really do appreciate it. I appreciate you peeling the layer back, letting people see sort of what an actual Scribe workspace looks like too. I think that is
Sure.
incredibly valuable too. So thank you very much for your time. And of course, of course, the recording and everything will be shared with everybody here too. But if they would like to find you, where can they find you? If they have
Yeah,
any
so
questions.
I believe you can find me on our website. It is the128collective.com. You can also find me on LinkedIn. We're the 128 Collective on LinkedIn, or Erica Statly on LinkedIn too is great as well.
Perfect. Well, thank you very much. It was a pleasure to talk to you today and to get to know how you're sharing, exporting, and all that good stuff too. So thank you for helping up-level every single person who is here on this call today and everybody who will be watching this in the future too. So thank you, Erica. Have a great rest of your day today and take care.
Thank you.
All right. See ya. Bye-bye.
Bye.